So my thoughts on the current Indigenous culture is that it's very strong, continuous, and it needs to be taught more in schools, I personally believe, and to individuals that have already finished school, because it's a strong bit of the Australian history that nobody really knows about. And the Indigenous culture is continuously changing and becoming more contemporary. This is evident in the arts such as dance and art practices like artwork and stuff, because it just has a whole different take on it, because like things are changing and that's just how it is. Education is definitely a priority for Indigenous individuals. When looking at statistics of Indigenous and non-Indigenous, we see a huge gap with graduates and marks and stuff, because within year one, Indigenous students are way behind already in year one, so that is crazy. So government initiatives such as Close the Gap are great because it gives everyone a visual of the difference, the gap of Indigenous and non-Indigenous, and that is something that helps us start a conversation and think of strategies and pathways of changing those statistics and improving Indigenous education. Because at the moment, it's been, 10 years since Close the Gap has been introduced, over 10 years actually, and the gap hasn't closed quick enough considering how long it's been, so that needs to change really quick. And yes, from my perspective and my personal experiences, I believe schools cater well to Indigenous individuals. This is due to extra support in the classroom, having Indigenous staff members within the school, so that helps individuals communicate their problems and what they need help with. But that's totally different for me because I live in a coastal area. Like, if we go to a remote area and question them, it's completely different because they don't have the support, they don't have Indigenous teachers and stuff, and it's just completely different, and that needs to change on the ASAP, honestly. And I believe majority of Indigenous students take other pathways rather than graduating, even though the graduating statistic has improved over the past couple of years, but majority of the students still get into other pathways like trades and stuff. This is due to, I personally believe this is due to the traditional Aboriginal way of life. So before colonisation, we weren't sitting at desks and stuff, no way, they didn't exist. So it was more like hands-on. So this is what we do, this is how we do it, it's more that. So I believe that's why majority of Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders drop out, because they're used to that type of learning rather than the education of a Western civilization. And yes, through majority of my schooling, I have seen and also experienced stereotyping. Like, every now and then you get that person that goes, oh, Aboriginals get everything and whatever. So, but it's such a recurring statement, but the thing is, they don't understand or know about the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous. So that's also something that needs to be taught, because then it's much more understanding. Because if Indigenous people aren't educated, then this just leads to a low employment rate and statistic and just stuff like that. So it needs to change immediately. So I hope that's helped. So bye.